the repercussions or the adverse response they would get from people like me who have fought in the 1971 war. We have taken part in the 1965 war and would have taken part in 62 also, but we were on a Congo mission. The fact is that people don't realize that how it hurts the sentiment of the older generation. This picture, or this painting rather, is iconic. It is iconic because it represents a war victory. One of the greatest military triumph of India in 1,000 years. For the army to now say that it has been shifted to a more appropriate place or the befitting place, is firstly they commit the sacrilege of the amount of politicization of the military that has taken place. Is phenomenal. Not that there was no politicization in the past, but the level and the extent and the depth of it is absolutely incredible. And this is what's happening. This religion being brought into the military. It should not be. Has not given this direction.
Then it
Indianized, yes, 100%. But the Indian military is a creation of the British. So nobody can deny that. If you want to dismantle colonial legacy, dismantle the military altogether. So you can't do this.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Government of India stirred a controversy yesterday, which was 16th of December, which is known as Vijay Divas. And they tried to remove the 1971 victory painting from the army headquarters. The entire opposition condemned the move, saying that this was an effort to eradicate the history and an old history which was so glorious for India. And now, today, Army has responded to this controversy by saying that this iconic painting has been moved to what it called its most befitting place. Now, what does one make of this controversy, which has really stirred everyone? Joining me now is Major General Ashok Mehta. So thank you so much for joining. It's wonderful to have you on the program. And your first thoughts to this controversy, which was needless on a day like Vijay Divas. And the government chose to remove a painting which was so precious.
Yeah, directly to your question, I don't think they realized the repercussions or the adverse response they would get from people like me who have fought in the 1971 war. We have taken part in the 1965 war and would have taken part in 62 also, but we were on a Congo mission. The fact is that people don't realize that how it hurts the sentiment of the older generation. The argument is that, oh no, times have changed and therefore it is the prerogative of the chiefs of staff to do to be contemporary. I think if that's the word, but the sentiment of the veterans must be uppermost, and because these guys will also become veterans, and then they will realize, because we've done the war fighting, right? This is an era, despite what our prime minister says, that this is a land, this is not an era of war, that India is a land of Buddha, not Yuddha. But if you look at our history, I mean, we have fought wars in the subcontinent, in Sri Lanka. That was virtually a war, the IPKF operation in Bangladesh, about which we'll come to a little later. So the fact is that this current generation, this is a counterinsurgency generation. They have, this generation has not fought a war. It is preparing to fight a war, and I have no doubt that they will do brilliantly. But I think they should also think about what has happened in the past. That's the first larger macro point. The other issue, I think, is that this picture, or this painting rather, is iconic. It is iconic because it represents a war victory. One of the, I mean, the greatest military triumph of India in 1,000 years. We were never a united country. We got united in 1947. And in those, and we have suffered invasion after invasion, defeat after defeat. This here was a victory, a military victory, a great triumph. And therefore, I think, and this painting is not just in the chief's office or the chief's lounge, it is in the battle honors mess. It enjoys the pride of place in every military institution in this country, in the army, in the navy. And I went to Bangladesh last year to speak about the liberation war, and there I went to the what they call the Institute of Liberation War and Genocide. Even there are these surrender pictures, though unfortunately there was no Bangladesh representative in this picture, in this painting. But that apart, the fact is that for the army to now say that it has been shifted to a more appropriate place, or the befitting place, is firstly they commit the sacrilege of moving it, and secondly this justification is completely.
What I don't understand, General Mehta, is that what you are calling a sacrilege, it doesn't appear like a sacrilege neither to the government, and it neither appears to the army. If the army is responding like that, why do you think it doesn't appear like a sacrilege for Modi government and the army currently?
Well, except the veterans, there's nobody who's taken part in any of these wars. And therefore, as I said, the current generation, God bless them, of the military, they are great people. But I think they should also remember that picture, as I've written somewhere, that can only be replaced by another surrender ceremony. Because a military victory in this era is very difficult. And to get that kind of a military victory is impossible. And the background is also quite startling. The background to this is the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, in a commanders conference, made a passing remark that we should dismantle colonial legacy, we should look at our military heritage, Mahabharat, Chanakya, the great rituals, our scriptures. And what happens is today, it's not just today, but in the past also, military commanders, since they do not have any chiefs of staff directive, the government of India has not issued a strategic directive to the chiefs. They wait for these words from the prime minister and then they follow them in letter and spirit. And therefore, in order to follow that, for the Indianization, they have gone into a tizzy. They spent hours and hours looking at old scriptures. We are fighting an artificially intelligence-enabled warfare, cyber warfare. I mean, it's okay to enrich your knowledge about your history, but that will not help you. That strategic thinking is not going to help you in today's war, and yet everybody is after it. Just one last thing, and
Yeah.
and therefore this picture that has replaced the iconic picture painting is a picture of Chanakya, is a picture of Mahabharat, is a picture, and of course, there's a picture of Pangong Tso Lake along with, which shows the progress, from our ancient scriptures to our latest encounter with the Chinese, where they have trespassed and they've gobbled up 2,000 square kilometers.
What I'm amazed at, and I would want you to speak on this, that what is the logic behind this new painting which has got this surrender painting replaced? This painting is called Karam Kshetra. It's called Field of Deeds, which has images of Chanakya, Garuda, and Krishna driving the Arjun's chariot. And alongside are the tanks, the helicopters, and the boats showing India's military might. Now, what is the logic? Is it a Hindutva project which they are trying to bring in, in fields where they should not? How would you really see? I want to understand what is the logic of this particular painting which they have brought in now.
The logic is they follow the Prime Minister's directions issued, as I say, sometimes off the cuff, to the letter. And because the Prime Minister has said something like this, they have gone in for this mythology, they have gone in for our ancient history, and they have represented this picture. I have nothing against this picture. They should not have replaced it. They should have added this, left the iconic painting where it is, and put this alongside or wherever there is space. This picture, as far as I know, or this painting, it used to be in the Army Chief's office. I haven't been invited to the Army Chief in the last 10 years, or maybe I have once. And I have seen the same painting in the Army Chief's office. Then there is this other place called the lounge. The lounge is where the Army Chief entertains or receives visitors. And under the halo of this surrender ceremony where General Niazi had taken off his belt, is handing over his pistol, putting his badges of rank on the table, this iconic surrender picture used to be in the background. Now you will have this replacement painting in the background. So, yes, I think the part of the reason is this Hindu nationalism. I have said this before, I will say this again, that in the last decade, the amount of politicization of the military that has taken place is phenomenal. Not that there was no politicization in the past, but the level and the extent and the depth of it is absolutely incredible. And this is what's happening. This religion being brought in into the military. It should not be.
No, but General
Our
Mehta, it's
great,
religion. It's no, what I'm saying is just not about religion. It's about eradicating history just to eradicate Indira Gandhi's name. Because Indira Gandhi was at the helm of affairs, she was the prime minister at that time, and it looks like, of course, there is a Hindutva project to it. But apart from that, it is also erasing the history of the Gandhis.
yeah, I mean that we have seen in this 2 day debate during the Constitution. I mean, I don't want to get into that side at the moment, but yes, this victory was achieved under the Congress leadership, and it was a brilliant example of fusion of political thinking and military strategy, and how the army, the Sam Manekshaw and Indira Gandhi were able to to combine and give the country this military victory. You see, there's one other thing that has happened and which has not caught our attention, which is there is in some reports, that there was, in addition to this great painting, also a brilliant encapsulation of what a military officer and a soldier is. And that was Philip Chetwood's, Field Marshal Chetwood's credo. The safety, honor, and welfare of your country come first, always and every time. And that credo has also been removed. Now, that could be a part of dismantling colonial legacy. As I said, that it's a combination of various things. And of course, the urge of the present generate military hierarchy to go to follow the PM's bidding and please the PM that जो आपने कहा वो हमने कर दिया, हमने करके दिखा दिया. So one of the greatest virtues of our military is that I hope to God people will follow this who wear the uniform, and even afterwards, after they've put on these civilian clothes like I have, that we must try and remain completely apolitical, secular, and utterly professional. Our victory comes out of profession, our professional capability. And as I said, that we won't learn too much from our past, but we will certainly learn a great deal from the technology, contemporary technology that is prevalent.
No, but Mehta, would you not say that this is a very unfortunate moment? And a day like this, Vijay Divas, which people have been observing for years and years, and army has felt proud about it. The whole nation has felt proud on it. And here you have a government which removes that surrender painting all of a sudden. What does this moment actually mean for India's history, for the army, and especially the war veterans like you who were there as part of the 1971 war? To you, how unfortunate is it? I really want you to describe it in your own words. As a war veteran, how do you feel?
Well, I'm not the only one who will be echoing these thoughts. I mean, if you read the social media, if you there are lots and lots of people like me who are saying what I am saying. Perhaps I'm saying it a little more passionately than they. But the fact is that they are very upset. While we respect the sentiment of the current generation of the officers, I mean, they are the leaders of today. We are the leaders of the past. But the past, to the extent that it concerns contemporary military thinking, must not be forgotten. And I don't believe that you can move a painting which has been there for so many years. I mean, if why should you have to move a painting from here? If you go to the Sri Lankan army chief's office, there is a painting about Chola where they defeated the Tamils, and the army chief, Sri Lankan army chief, displays that picture, the defeat, the victory. They, I mean, the greatest insult for a soldier is surrender. The greatest triumph for a soldier is victory. And we should not forget this. I just got remembered that the army's PR has said that they have moved it to a more befitting place. Now, in this more befitting place, there is already a mural. I did some investigation, and I find that there is already a mural of this the surrender ceremony in the Manekshaw Center, which I think some people are saying will soon be called the Chanakya Auditorium or the Chanakya Center. But there is already a mural. The painting has been moved there and they're calling it befitting. I don't think the befitting place is where it was. And it should be restored there alongside that. The new picture, the new painting can remain, of course, but this one should be restored to its original place. And I think a part of, I think it is it's a sin, a minor sin, to shift your symbol of triumph and military victory when you had this for the first time in your 1,000 years.
Whom would you hold responsible for this sin? Is it Prime Minister Modi? Is it the Defense Minister? Or it is the army? Whom would you hold responsible for this decision?
It's very difficult. I mean, the
no, but for this thing, for this particular sin, where do you think the buck stops? For this particular sin, where does the buck stop?
Well, the army chief has tried to follow the direction of the Prime Minister. And so between the Prime Minister and the army chief, and a number of other things have happened in the other two services also, like in the Navy. They've tried to follow what the Prime Minister said at the commanders' conference. As I said, literally, they've done things which, I mean, you look at the Republic Day beating retreat, how the procedures, how music has been, they're trying to Indianize. But the Scottish bagpipes were not meant to play Hindi tunes. Of course not.
No, but this totally shows the lack of depth, the lack of knowledge which the current government has. But what is the kind of impression today which has gone through the army personnel, to the soldiers, and who've taken pride in this painting? And what is the kind of message now the government is sending out to the people in the army, that look, you have to do what I have to do? Is it that?
No, I think the hurt is largely amongst the veteran community, the old soldiers, as they say. The current generation, as I think they are justified in saying that this represents contemporary time. But if the Prime Minister has not given this direction.
Then it would.
Indianize, yes, 100%. But the Indian military is a creation of the British. So nobody can deny that. If you want to dismantle colonial legacy, dismantle the military altogether. So you can't do this. You can't do this in the dismantling part, because a lot you have imbibed, because our infantry, our army runs on regimental customs, traditions, ethos, ethics. Where have you got this from? You got this from the Brits. This question about tradition and custom. The Americans have number 1 battalion of 2000 regiment. We have 2nd battalion, the 5th Gurkha Rifles, frontier force. The frontier force is with the Pakistan army, but we still use frontier force. So that old tradition, some of the current generation does not realize of the military, that there is this deep historical sense, and Indianization will come, I have no doubt, over time, but change with continuity, but maintain the tradition, maintain the custom, because that's the vertebrae of the Indian army.
In fact, Congress MP Manikam Tagore had moved an adjournment motion also. Congress was very, very disturbed that, why a thing like this has taken place. And while Congress was criticizing, I would just want to bring your attention to one BJP MP, Manoj Tiwari, who has said, and just hear me out what he has said, हम फोटो हटाते नहीं हैं, हम तो फोटो ढूंढ ढूंढ करके लगाते हैं. We don't remove photographs. We have in fact put up new photographs of Rajiv Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, Manmohan Singh, PV Narasimha Rao in the Prime Minister's museum. This is how he had to respond. Now, what would you really say to a response like this, General Mehta?
Yeah, I don't want to get into, Neelu, into the politics of this. That's your job. I leave that to you. But I think, I mean, there is no doubt politicization is taking place. But we have to be very careful, and we have to remain apolitical. Naturally, this should not happen. This never happens anywhere else, that the victory was secured by in our time and not in your time. But it's unfortunate that this is what's happening, that the politicization of the military has gone far beyond what should.
One last question, General Mehta, and then I'll wind up the interview. That as a war veteran, I know you're very hurt and you expressed that. But if I were to ask you, what would you tell Prime Minister Modi on this particular juncture?
Well, Prime Minister Modi won't listen to me. I had sent him a letter.
You can voice your concern, sir. If you have to address to him directly, what would you say today after seeing what has happened?
I would say that please go slow on your campaign of Indianization, and let the military decide the pace at which they want to change. Although you have issued these orders, but please caution the military that they should not move this at a pace that they are. That if on Vijay Diwas they were going to do this shifting of a painting, because I, as the Prime Minister, have said, let's go back to our ancient scriptures. They could have moved some other painting, but left this painting there. So it's partly, I think the responsibility is shared between the two centers of power.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. It's wonderful always to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
15 words Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.